Hi, I'm Mindy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my July wrap-up, and this is my wrap-up for everything other than my Indie Accords readathon books. I needed to split my wrap-up into two videos because I managed to read so much this month, or last month in July. So if you want to hear what I thought of the 10 indie horror, fantasy, and poetry books I read this month, then head over to that video and I'll have it linked down below so you can see what I thought of a bunch of fantastic indie reads. But I also read 7 more books that I'd love to tell you about. The first book that I read was for Jane Austen July, and this year I read Persuasion. Jane Austen July is a readathon hosted by Books and Things, Blatantly Bookish, and Spencer's Library. They had a bunch of prompts. I just read a Jane Austen book to participate, and Persuasion is a second chance romance, basically. It's about a woman who was in love and wanted to marry a young man when she was young, but then decided to follow the wishes of her friends and family and gave up the engagement for better prospects. But now it's years later, she's still unmarried and getting to the age where she's not as desirable. Back in the day, that came quite early apparently. And it's about her sisters and her finding love. It's a good story. I really like Jane Austen's writing and how she manages to put a lot of interesting storylines into a pretty simple story like that. This is not my favorite. I've read 3 so far, and this is my 3rd favorite. Favorite is Sense and Sensibility. Second favorite, Pride and Prejudice, but they're both so good and pretty much right next to each other. And then Persuasion was also really good, but it would be below those two. Yeah, I look forward to reading the rest of Jane Austen's books, which I will be doing soon. I read one nonfiction book this month, Nightmare Fuel, The Science of Horror Films. I have a full review of this book, and you can watch that for more details. It's linked down below. Nightmare Fuel is a look at how humans respond to fear, how they respond to watching horror films, what effects horror films have on a person, as well as techniques that filmmakers use to make horror films more frightening. I thought this book was so interesting. I think it's a great one for horror lovers who also like to read about science, because it is science heavy. I read What Moves the Dead by Kingfisher, which is a new release and is a retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. I love Edgar Allan Poe's writing. I actually read The Fall of the House of Usher this month as well to have an understanding of where this book was coming from. It's my favorite Edgar Allan Poe story now. I just love everything I read from him. And the novella, What Moves the Dead, was fantastic. I really loved it. It stayed true to the gothic feeling and the storyline of The Fall of the House of Usher, which I really appreciated, but it added so much more to the story, and she really made it her own. This is a great retelling, and I look forward to reading more from T. Kingfisher now that I know just how fantastic the stories can be. I also read a big fantasy novel, Flames of Mira, which is by Harmon. It's the first in a new series full of magic, fire and ice magic, and with a very well-developed, interesting world. And the main character, you really feel for him, you want him to succeed. He's trying to do the right thing even though he is being used to nefarious purposes. I have full reviews of What Moves the Dead and Flames of Mira as well. I will link down below if you want to hear more about those books. And then the last book that I read for the month, my 17th book, is Type Hard by Matt Wall. It's a little chapbook, poetry on writing. And I have been writing poetry starting this month, learning from Matt, and I have a new outlook on poetry, a new appreciation for poetry, and you're probably going to be seeing a lot more poetry read in the future. I have been looking for more collections to read and get inspiration from, because I'm really loving poetry, writing poetry. So this is his book on writing. And that's everything I read this month, other than the 10 books for Indie Accords readathon. Check out that other video. The total, I read 17 books for a total of 2,963 pages, which averages out to 96 pages per day, which is my best reading month of the year so far, and I'm really proud of myself. Thank you for watching. Are you excited to read any of these books, or have you read them? And I will be back very soon with another book-related video. Thanks.